Okay, guys, I've actually been getting a whole lot of questions about how the market is actually operating right now throughout this pandemic period. A couple things for you to consider while you're considering how the real estate market is doing is one, supply and demand, actually looking at the specific forces that are occurring, whether how much supply you have and how much demand is competing for it. We have to look at the area. This is very specific to the market itself. It can involve basically townhouses detached. It could be different types of regions. It could be a different city. It could be a whole geographical region. Understand where this is coming from when you're looking online to your news sources. And also, we have to really consider the terminology. There was a common consensus that the sales prices were dropping significantly because on the media, it actually said that sales were dropping. This was specifically in reference to the amount of homes being listed and sold, not to the price. So just be careful with that terminology. So the current situation we find ourselves in within Brampton, let's say, we actually are in a seller's market. There are a significant amount of houses less than there are buyers available. The seller's market basically derives a situation where the buyers have to compete for the home in order to win the property. So now imagine yourself as a seller and you actually have your property that's just recently been listed and you have about five, six, seven interested buyers. These buyers are going to give you offers. So now you're holding 5 to 6 to 7 offers in your hand, and you have the position now to either reject the offer, accept the offer, or send it back to them. This is the whole basis of the multiple offer situation. So when you send them back the offer and ask them to actually improve the offer, this is when you can actually decide later on what kind of price you're going to be getting for your property and what you are willing to accept for your property. This is what is actually keeping the prices pretty strong in Brampton and actually having the prices either stay static or raise just a little bit. Another main thing that you have to consider is we've actually been looking at the statistics of the situation, and the actual showings at the moment are increasing. So people are genuinely becoming more comfortable with this COVID virus existing and starting to live their day-to-day lives. There were previously a whole lot of buyers waiting to get into the market before COVID hit. After COVID hit, everyone froze for a bit. And mind you, before COVID, there was a huge battle, competing war for properties. Now that it's feeling a little bit more normal, the buyers are starting to poke their heads out again and starting to come and join the competition for the properties, which further strengthens the core principle that the actual prices are remaining strong. You know what? At the same time, it's actually a very good time to either buy or sell. It depends on who you are working with. Some agents may want to price your property a lot less than normal. For instance, I actually just recently sold a property in April for $70,000 over the competitor. This is not to say that the other agent wasn't the best. It was to say that his perception of what was happening in the situation may not have been most beneficial for his client. For instance, he was genuinely trying to help his client by selling his property for a less amount just to make sure that he didn't miss out in the property values at the time and the property value didn't drop. Myself, however, actually articulated a huge game strategy to market the property throughout the pandemic period and to return a very significant price return from my seller and made sure that they got top dollar for their property. So you have to really consider when you're going to sell your property, who do you want to work with? Someone with the skills who are looking out for you, or someone with the skills who is looking out for you, who is determined to get as much money as possible for your property. These are two different people, one with a desired urge of motivation and one who is just trying to help the situation and might back down when things get a little bit too messy. So just a quick recap of the situation. When we're actually looking at the market, we do have to consider the supply and demand. We have to consider the area, the terminology we're looking at, especially through the media pumping information at us. We got to understand the current situation that we find ourselves in, whether it's a buyer or seller's market. This can change frequently and it depends on the market you're looking at. We have to understand if there are multiple offers in the situation. When we see an asking price, we can assume that they're trying to get a little bit higher than asking, of course, or significantly higher. We have to understand that as the showings increase, there will be more competition for the property. And bottom line is we do have to be cautious and aware of the realtors that we are working with. If you guys need a good realtor to work with that is going to work for your best interest nonstop until you get exactly what you want from the property, feel free to give me a contact directly at 647-891-1703. Also, if you guys have any recommendations for videos that you want to see in the future, feel free to text me directly, leave a comment below, like, subscribe. I'll catch you in the next video. Have a good night, guys.